I don't know how I can even start this one, but what you're seeing is a speed build of the Lepin, not Lego, set 16029 Magic World, Hogwarts Castle. This is a knockoff Lego set based off the 2007 set 5378 Hogwarts Castle. What makes this set interesting is the original Lego set was released as a tie-in for the Order of the Phoenix Harry Potter film, which was released around the same time. The set would only be available for less than a year, being discontinued very quickly. It originally sold for around 100 Canadian dollars. This led to the castle becoming one of, if not the most, hard to find Harry Potter Lego set, with sold listings on eBay currently ranging around 270 to 430 Canadian dollars, and some of the minifigures alone selling for $200 as a lot. Now, this castle had always been on my want list, but I could never bring myself to pay the prices it went for. But then I saw what you're seeing now on a local classified site. Someone was selling the knockoff Lepin branded version of the set for only $45, listed as complete. I never actually bought a full Lepin set before, and I decided why not give it a go, as I'd probably never be able to get the original. About a week later, I got it. My first impressions upon getting it was how close some of the pieces were to their original Lego counterparts, especially the sand green roof pieces and the tan bricks. They were almost identical. The grays, blacks, reds, and dark gray pieces were probably the furthest from the original Lego counterparts, but still were pretty good high quality in my personal opinion. But this was just when I was expecting them. The real trouble was building the sets. Now, when I originally got the set, it was assembled, so I did my regular Lego routine of disassembling what was there, sorting all of the pieces by color, and then putting everything together again. Pretty simple stuff. But one thing I learned by building this was that the brick lock on Lepin is very hit or miss, and it is nowhere as good as Lego. It's either way too strong or extremely weak. So the first part of the build, which should have taken max 40 to 45 minutes, took around over an hour. One big problem was the instructions. When I bought this, it didn't come with any, so I opted to using the original instructions on Lego.com. Unfortunately, for those who have used instruction manuals available on Lego.com digitally, you would know that older ones are subject to very dark and oversaturated color, and worst of all, extreme compression on the images, making it very difficult to work with. It was a huge eye strain for me, and that's a rant for another video, quite frankly. The first build of the set was the Herbology Lab, or the greenhouse. I didn't know why, but certain pieces just didn't want to click into place, and to my fright, I noticed one of the studs on the top of the build was straight up gone, which is ironic because nothing would actually connect to it. Next was a small action piece used to simulate a student hitting a target for Dumbledore's army. Fortunately, I couldn't find one of the main pieces for the build that connects to the target, as it was hiding under another piece that I only discovered later, so I tossed that to the side and continued. Lastly in this section was the Room of Requirement. This build was much easier than the greenhouse, but to be honest, it was frankly a simpler build. One thing to note was while disassembling the set, I actually broke one of the flame pieces inside the room. It just shows how strong the brick lock on some of these actually are, comparison to how weak it is on certain pieces. But finally, after 3 Bob the Builders and 1 K-On later, I was done for the night. My fingers were in extreme pain trying to get the bricks to stick, and I was not liking this build at all, and I regretted not buying the Lego set in the first place. And considering I already got this put together, I don't understand why I decided to take it apart. I guess I wanted the experience of building. So I took a day off and I returned engines racing Sunday morning to finish what I started. After a handy breakfast, the main castle build began. And, well, not much to report. It went much smoother than the last part. Coming off from those last builds, I expected it to be a lot more difficult, but it went well. Only problem was one 1x8 sand green tile was missing for the front of the castle, but thankfully that being only a cosmetic piece, it didn't affect the rest of the build. I also found the missing part from earlier hiding under a gray panel piece. Build time was roughly 1 hour and 27 minutes for this part, and it felt great to get it done. And now that we're done building, we can finally review it. Stay tuned for part 2.